So obviously, like we're on a PWI, right? And I think one of the things that comes up when talking about dating is like interracial dating and some of like the racialized stereotypes that folks have, and using that to sort of guide who they are interested in. So I'm curious about like what your experience is like with dating on a PWI, without knowing like what your, if or what your racial preferences are. Like what is that? What do those conversations look like?
I feel like for me, I haven't experienced that firsthand, but I feel like it would be a good experience because I feel like, when you're dating someone who has a different background than you, a different culture, it allows you to interact with more people of different backgrounds, dealing with people that is not necessarily just like you. So I feel like it's definitely a good experience, but I just haven't experienced it yet.
I come from a different culture. My father, he looks very Caucasian, but he is not. He's just very lacking in the melanin side. So coming from that perspective, like I was always, a lot of people thought, everybody think my father is Caucasian, but he's not. He's very much a Jamaican man. He's just very, very light. And then I went to Catholic school, so very much, I've been in PWIs, I've been in predominantly white institutions my entire life. So going in from that high school culture, I can never judge if a white guy per se is into black girls. So I very much don't approach a white guy unless I very much allow the white guys to approach me. But like Cody said, firsthand, I've never experienced that. No white guys ever approached me. But I'd be open to it because it's a learning experience. And I think it'd be a great learning experience just to have those different views, different ideologies, different upbringings, just to have that kind of conversation about how your childhood is different from my childhood and how you operate is different from how I operate.
No, but have there been pressures? Like when we think about like interracial dating, like have you been pressured to only date like a certain race or like date within your race? Like is there
I wouldn't
a pressure?
say pressure.
Me personally, I wouldn't say that I've like experienced like pressure or anything, but I feel like speaking like on the outside looking in, I feel like there is kind of some pressure for the guys per se, because I feel like Quinnipiac as an example, like you're an athlete, you're on a PWI campus, the black community is going to expect you to be with a black woman, but there's other options here. So I feel like it's more pressure on like the athletes because they have like a variety of different women in front of them.
I think over time it became kind of like negative for a biracial couple. I feel like I don't know a time when biracial couples were accepted per se. I feel there's always a negative connotation behind it, whether the white girl's always stealing the black guys, the black men, or the opposite direction.
With that like being said, like I asked about the pressure because like, I know growing up, I mean this earlier, it was assumed that you would only be with a certain type of person, right? And if you dated outside your race, the focus wasn't on necessarily who you loved, but for some people they felt that you were making a political statement. Specifically, if you start to say, I only date this type of person because, and some of the people who I've had conversations with who were in interracial relationships, they didn't even just focus on the fact that they just fell in love with this person. Sometimes it was like, well, I have this preference because black women are this or black women are that, and it was kind of seen as a statement.
Well, I also think like with some of those like statements around like, well, I prefer dating white men because fill in the blank. I found that like at least in the conversations that I've had with folks, it's like hearing like the anti-blackness show up too. It's like, okay, well, your preferences are actually steeped in racism, but sure, call it your preferences. And I think that love who you love and be critical about how anti-blackness is showing up in you, like how internalized racism is showing up in you. I think it's really interesting how folks sort of like navigate that.